and it's being done in just their second year together. But how impressive in it? Put it to scale, if you will, Jason.
Yeah, it's been fascinating to watch. And you look at how far they've come, and to look at that, sometimes you have to go back. And I go back to their playoff game last season. They get in Sirianni's first year, Jalen Hurts' first year as the full-time starter, and they're matched up in the first round against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they don't perform well in that game at all. Matter of fact, Tampa Bay beats them down, and they win that game 31-15. And within that game, Jalen Hurts has 2 interceptions. Sirianni, after the game, is talking about they made too many mistakes from a coaching standpoint. And then you look at all the way from that point and how bad this game was, and Sirianni walking off the field just looking defeated, and where they were as a team. And it went into the offseason. There were so many question marks about Jalen Hurts, if they were going to stick with him as their quarterback, and if he was going to be the guy that could get it done even with a loaded roster. And now you see where they are this year, and it goes to show the growth that both of these men have had in the offseason. Sirianni gave the play calling duties to Shane Steichen last year, and how you grow as a coach. You put your ego aside and you let the guys around you that you've put in place to continue to develop the team. Jalen Hurts, from what we've been able to see from him as he's just now become a star, and the way he talks about it, and the way Sirianni talked about his will to win, that work ethic and the process and the journey, which he focuses on and talks about every single time, we've been able to witness that coming to fruition on the field on Sundays, that now they're in the Super Bowl. So from that moment, the way their season ended last year, win or loss, the way their season will end this year is truly magnificent to watch.
Magnificent is a good word. It's really impressive, especially with Sirianni. They got a great team and a great roster, but what Sirianni's done is unbelievable. I think it's important that we go back. When he was hired as Eagles head coach, he did his introductory media session, and it was rocky. And he was made fun of, and he was memed to the bejesus. And I went back and watched it, guys. And we're going to watch it right now. This guy, this guy is coaching the Super Bowl this weekend, and this is how it started.
This team and this city, this organization, I'm confident this is a really there's a talented group. Howie and his staff have put together a talented group, and just super excited to work with all the guys here. Next thing that's very important to me is that we build a smart football team. The first part of that, the first part of being smart, is knowing what to do. We're gonna have systems in place that are easier to learn. And when you can combine the fundamentals and you combine that with the talent, that's when you get a player to reach the level of excellence.
Okay, tight, antsy. He got destroyed for that in the Philadelphia media, all over the internet. Bo Wolf is a writer for The Athletic who did a piece on that speech and the legacy of it and how it has come to empower the Eagles and empower Sirianni. What he did after it, and when it became a big joke, he showed it to his players. He sat the team down and goes, here's my press conference, let's watch this, and I'm going to be accountable for what I said, and it wasn't what I wanted to do, and I didn't represent myself for the team. And Brandon Graham said that's the moment I started to respect him, is when he showed us that press conference. Here it is, guys. You want to have a laugh at it? This was me. He chased that shortly thereafter with a very elementary plant metaphor in which we have to plant seeds and water them, and everybody laughed at that. Since the moment of that plant metaphor, the Eagles are 23-7. 23-7. They've won the NFC. They got to the playoffs last year. That guy who says, I know what the bleep I'm doing, is mean mugging the cameras. It started almost 2 years ago when he was introduced and stuttering through, mispronouncing names, trying to get his metaphors right like he's a freshman high school football coach. No, he is the best, hottest coach in the NFC right now, and he has had a journey from start to finish. I love it. I respect it, and I think he finishes it Sunday.
Wow, that's great that you brought out that record since they planted that seed.
23-7 since the plant.
This has been a great partnership for both of them. Like they've been held accountable for their pitfalls and for their missteps. All right, Sirianni with his press conference, Jalen Hurts. We've talked about ad nauseum about him getting benched in a championship game in college and having to do that with everybody watching. And yet, you look at Jalen Hurts and how stoic he has remained, and Sirianni as well. The two of them. I'm not that surprised. I'm surprised at how early it's happened, but when you look at both of them, the leadership qualities that they represent, Jalen Hurts. All right, look, when he came to the Eagles, it's all about winning football games for him. I had a chance to talk to him and A.J. Brown this summer in training camp. Yeah. And I asked A.J. Brown a question, and before A.J. Brown could even answer, Jalen Hurts put his hand over the microphone. was not going to let his boy say something that he was going to regret later on. And I think that leadership is really what Jalen Hurts has brought to this team and why they're in this big dance. Now, I mentioned A.J. Brown because I think he's the missing piece of this puzzle. We saw him last year get kicked out of the dance in the first playoff round. I don't think that they're in the Super Bowl without A.J. Brown. Sure. I think the trade for him and what he's brought to this offense, not just the explosive plays, but the accountability aspect of it. He and Jalen Hurts are best friends. They're related. They push each other. That accountability factor, I think, has resonated throughout the locker room. And with A.J. Brown on this offense, now he provides a different dimension, and he enables guys like Devontae Smith to now thrive in the slot and to do other things. So I think it's been remarkable what the Eagles have done in such a short amount of time with a young head coach and a young quarterback, but they've done it by assembling some unbelievable players around them.
The word impressed to me implies there is an element of surprise, of a lack of expectation that these people are here, that you maybe not at the time that you thought them. I'm not that impressed. And I'm not saying I knew it was going to happen, but when you look at the materials at hand here between Nick Sirianni, who had a lot of different jobs and was coached up and worked with a lot of different unbelievable coaches on his way, I shouldn't be that impressed. This should be the expectation that is set. The same goes for Jalen Hurts. To go from Alabama to Oklahoma to Philadelphia to survive and thrive in one of the most special and ruthless markets to play football in the NFL. This should not be impressive. This should be the expectation because, frankly, that's what Eagles fans, the organization, and the city itself sets for anybody who puts that jersey on, who wears Kelly green and decides to go out and represent the Eagles. To be impressed is to say that, oh, I never saw this coming. Second year together, fifth year together, doesn't matter. If you go to work for the Philadelphia Eagles, I'm not saying that other organizations don't do this, but I think the demand and the uncharacteristic, tough nature in which Eagles fans and the market demands from you, whether it be, and we saw it with Andy Reid, year 1 or year 14 or anywhere in the middle, the impressed shouldn't be, it implies that you were surprised. It's not. It had to happen here or else neither of them would still be here.
No doubt.
Peter Schrager, I know you know it better than anybody else. So Andy Reid was there. There was a cake when he left, but he wasn't up to snuff for Philadelphia. They move on for him, and now here he is coaching against him. What do you think about the marriage, though, between Sirianni and Hurts?
Well, I think Nick Sirianni's a really interesting figure in this because he's the head coach, but he doesn't call the offensive plays, and he's got an incredible coaching staff around him. And I think it says a lot about Nick Sirianni that he got all of these coaches to come with him. Shane Steichen is going to be interviewing for head coaching jobs. If not this year getting one, he will be in all the rounds next year. He's the offensive coordinator who calls the plays. Jeff Stoutland is one of the top offensive line coaches in the entire league. He was a holdover. He stays, and he and Sirianni have hit off great chemistry as well. You go right down the list. Jonathan Gannon was interviewed for head coaching jobs last year. He's back this year. He's going to interview coaching jobs this year and next year. Like, they have a loaded coaching staff as well. And Sirianni has enough self-confidence where he says, okay, you know what? I'm going to be the CEO of this thing. I'm going to overlook it all. I'm going to be the tone setter. I'm going to be the culture builder. But I'm going to let coaches coach, and I'm going to help groom them to get to the best jobs that they can do. I find their coaching staff as interesting as any other coaching staff in the league because they hired a guy from Indianapolis who had never called plays in an offensive system before as their head coach. And it's actually worked out great. And he's selfless. He's got no ego. And all that mean mugging and all that stuff, it might not go great for the opponents, might not go great for the fans, but those Eagles players love it, and they are following his stride. I think Nick Sirianni's got something really special with this team, and it's